How many times have I said it? 27 outs for the Diamond Heels. Don't give up. But this time, it took 30.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and you're joining us at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. Thanks for making us your first listen or watch. Special shout out to all you everydayers out there, as well as all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord. This episode's brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Coming up on the show today, we celebrating North Carolina Tar Heels moving on to the Super Regionals, sending LSU home to Baton Rouge. Is that where they're from? I don't know, Louisiana, whatever. But they're going home. Carolina's moving on, and oh boy, was it close. So we're going to unpack the game from Monday. We're going to look ahead a little bit to the Super Regionals. That's what we're doing today. You know me, you know I love baseball, and so when it's baseball time and the Diamond Heels are rolling, baby, we're going to talk about it a little bit. So that's where we start. North Carolina both begins and ends the regional with late inning heroics. You remember it Friday night, Carolina gave up, they were up 5-4. They gave up a ninth inning, 2-out double to tie it. And then that 3-run bomb went down, but ultimately a Gavin Gallaher granny walk-off sends Carolina on to the winner's bracket. And then that's exactly what happened again. North Carolina late inning heroics after a game of being basically shut down since the first inning. And now they're moving on to the Super Regionals. Look, I've been saying it basically since the ACC tournament, and it's a line that this team has used all season long. 27 outs. That's what it takes to beat this team. This lineup is stacked. It's loaded. And so until that final out is recorded, you cannot and should not give up on this team. If you gave up on them Friday against Long Island, you missed Gavin Gallaher's grand slam. If you gave up on this team at 24 outs or 27 outs, if you got to 27 outs, there's no way you gave up on them for 30. But you saw it again. And that's what this team is. Never counting them out. What a ridiculous thing. But again, this time against LSU on Monday night, it took 30 outs because we went to 10 innings to close out this regional. You'll never believe this, just from like a personal anecdote. So I coached my son's Little League baseball team, and it had rained all day Monday. And I thought, oh, this is great. We had a game Monday night, but I thought it was going to get rained out because it had rained all day Monday. Nope, we're playing. So I had to pause the game in the top of the 7th with Madera on second and Vance Honeycutt coming up, and just turned on Do Not Disturb so I didn't hear anything. Got home, had no clue what had happened, and then was able to watch the rest of the game in nervous anticipation. Somebody asked me early in the day on Monday where my stress level was on a scale of 1 to 10. I think I jokingly said like 13 or something like that. And that only got worse when I came home and watched those final innings. Great stuff. This game was full of twists and turns, so many that you barely know where to start, but we'll try to do it. This was North Carolina defending national champion LSU regional final, winner take all. And basically, LSU, since going down 5-0 in the first inning against Wofford on Sunday morning, they just got hot. The bats got hot. They blitzed Wofford throughout that game, chipped away. They took care of business against Carolina on Sunday night, and then had that momentum coming into Monday. Carolina got an early lead, but then LSU just kind of kept chipping away, took a lead, and held it. Both bullpens, both pitching staffs did a great job in the middle innings. And that's where it is. And it was weird to me because if you listen to Monday's show, you know I talked about how in the final 4 innings of Sunday night, Carolina loaded the bases 3 out of 4 of those innings. And the one where they didn't load it, they had 2 guys on with Vance Honeycutt at the plate. So on Sunday, they didn't take advantage of opportunities late. On Monday, they weren't able to take enough advantage of opportunities very early. Because Carolina, right out of the gate, the first 2 innings, I was like, oh, we're about to dominate this baseball game. I don't know if you felt that way. I sure did. Had opportunities to put LSU in a massive hole, but just couldn't do it. First inning, bases loaded. D'Onofrio gets a 4-pitch walk to take a 1-0 lead. And it's like, all right, bases loaded. Here comes Alberto Osuna coming up. Bases loaded, 1 out, or excuse me, no outs at that point. It's 1-0. Let's do work. 4 balls in a row. What do you do? If you've ever played baseball, you know the answer to this question. What do you do in that moment? You take. You don't swing. What does Osuna do? He swings at the first pitch, grounds into a double play. Yes, a run scores. But of course, LSU is going to give up a run for 2 outs in the first inning. It's like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. And so I had talked about on Monday, so I was like, Carolina, what they cannot do, you're going to make physical mistakes sometimes. But what you cannot do is make the mental mistakes. And that was one. Who knows what would have happened? Carolina might not have scored. No, it was only 1-0. But you just can't go up there hacking after 4 straight pitches. You got them on the ropes. Come on, man. Second inning, Carolina, bases loaded again, albeit 2 outs. And here comes Parks Harbor. And at this point, LSU, I think, was on their 47th pitcher by the second inning. Harbor comes up, sends it to the warning track, and just falls a couple feet short of a grand slam that would have made it 6-1 at that point. Ugh. But after that, just not much doing. Carolina got a single in the 3rd inning, a single in the 7th inning, but they went 1, 2, 3 in the 4th, 5th, and 6th. In the 8th, there was a walk to start, but then LSU struck out the side. And so it was feeling very, very, very bleak heading into the 9th inning. But, oh, baby, in the 9th inning, it was go time. LSU brings in Gage Jump, their number 1 starter, to close out this thing. This was their Friday night starter. But Gavin Gallaher, this dude, doubles down the line to start the rally in the top of the 9th. And it was a great at bat. Jumped through him a really nice slider that he went down and got, send it just over Tommy White's outstretched glove down the left field line and get second out of it. And then, there was that moment with the Madera bunt. And I thought when this happened, I don't know if you watched. If you were watching when that Madera bunt didn't go Carolina's way, I don't know about you, but I was like, that's it. That's all. Carolina is not destined to win this game or this regional because that didn't just happen. Here's what goes down. He was trying to sacrifice bunt, get Gallaher over to 3rd with 1 out, bring it up, Honeycutt, Casey Cook. It's like, well, duh, they're going to get him in. No, Wilkerson comes up before those guys. I'm thinking we're at the end of the lineup, but we're not. We're at 8. So Madera misses the first bunt, or pulls back, and it was called a strike. Pulls back, it's called a ball. Fouls one off. And so for those of you that don't know baseball that well, if you foul off a bunted 3rd strike, you're out. It's a strikeout. So 2 strikes. Coach Forbes still has him bunt to try to sack over Gallaher. And he pushes this beautiful bunt down the 3rd baseline. But Tommy White, to his credit, very wisely is like, look, I'm not going to be able to make this play. So my best hope is that it goes foul. And it just started creeping ever so slightly. And for those of you that don't know, all it's got to do is just touch even the slightest part of the bag, and it's a fair ball. I mean, this ball went like an inch or less to the foul side of 3rd base. And Madera's out. And I was like, oh, that is a bummer. Because if that ball is even an inch, half an inch towards the field, towards the playing field, it's 1st and 3rd, nobody out, with Wilkerson coming up, followed by the top of the order. Oh, that was so brutally painful. But thankfully, Wilkerson comes up, goes down 0-2, by the way, battles back, and just fights one off, fists one off into left field that falls. Now, part of this is Gallaher had a great read on the ball because it was kind of a loopy one that looked like maybe it's going to get hot, but caught, but Gallaher can read it. He gets home, scores, game is tied. And I loved it because it was 7-8-9 coming up in the ninth. And I had written in my notes, hey, does Vance Honeycutt get another chance? Or is his college career going to end with him standing on deck? But boy, does he get up and have another opportunity and just bunts, walks, gets on. Casey Cook has this line drive. I mean, it's a beautiful line drive. I was like, yes, we're going to score again. Nope, right to the second baseman. And then, unfortunately, because of how Carolina had played, Harbor's out, so he doesn't come up, but it's Haskin instead, the backup catcher, ground out to shortstop. And we go on to the bottom of the ninth where Dalton Pence comes out. We'll talk more about him in a minute, but he does the job. We're headed to extra innings. Top 10th, Carolina. D'Onofrio flies out. Osuna strikes out on just 3 straight fastballs. And then comes our guy, Johnny Castagnazzi, who's been on this show. He flies out to right. It's like, man, that's going to be the third out, 3 up, 3 down, just straight out to right field. Routine fly ball. I mean, it's deep. It's right at the warning track. But homie misses it, just straight misses it. I mean, easy fly ball that I could have caught. You could have caught. So Castagnazzi is hustling out of the box, gets to second. That was critical. Jackson Vanderbrake comes in, runs for him. Gallaher is intentionally walked. That's a wise decision, I thought, by LSU. But then Madera comes through in the lefty-on-lefty matchup against Jump. Full count, gets a single up the middle. Vanderbrake scores. It's 4-3 heels. So for Madera to come back from what happened with that bunt, which was so beautiful and just barely missed, to get what ended up being the game-winning hit, I mean, just a thing of poetry that happened that way. Then Wilkerson strikes out. We go to the bottom of the 10th, and here comes Dalton Pence back out. Dalton Pence, by the way, is also the name of the host of Locked on Louisville, which is always funny to me. And if you don't know, LSU had the top of the order coming up. 1, 2, 3. Tommy White, the former NC State Wolfpack. Milam, who's been hot. Jones, who's one of the best home run hitters in the country. So Pence gets White to fly out. I was surprised he swung at the pitch he did, but we'll take it. Flies out to right field to D'Onofrio. Milam flies out to D'Onofrio. Jones, my question was, do you go after him here? Last time Pence had pitched to him, he kind of danced around him a little bit. And my thought was, hey, look, with the lead, you got a 1-run lead. Nobody's on base. The worst he can do is tie it up and you go to the 11th. So it's like, why not? Pitch to him. Try it. See what you can do. So we get to a 3-2 count. He fouls off a couple. And I thought Pence made a beautiful pitch that the umpire from Sunday night, this is a different umpire Monday, but both of them have been giving pitches like this. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's the ball game. But he didn't give it. That was ball 4. And I was like, crap. So here comes Pearson. We got a lefty on lefty matchup, but this dude can mash. He's a cleanup hitter. And I was like, ugh. He comes up to the plate, hits what off the bat looked like a pretty good ball that I was like, if this is a walk-off home run to go to the Super Regionals right now, I'm going to be so sad. But he flew out to Vance Honeycutt. Poetic justice there, because remember, Vance couldn't play last year in postseason because his back was just in such a bad way. So I love that he was able to get that last out. And wouldn't you know it, Carolina is moving on to the Super Regionals. Now remember, the situation that came up in the bottom of the 10th there, in the ACC tournament, North Carolina was up 1 to Wake Forest, 2 outs in the 9th, gives up the game-tying hit, and then loses in extra innings. Against LIU on Friday night, Carolina gives up the game-tying hit with 2 outs in the 9th. And I know this is the 10th, but I was just like, are we going to have that same agony again here, or are we going to get out of it? And Carolina gets out of it. I mean, it was just wild. What a crazy, crazy night. And I love it because Carolina was just not ready to lose, which would have been almost the end of the 23-24 athletics calendar for this school year. There's the outdoor track national championships this weekend, but that's it. It's this, that, and baseball. That's all that's left for this calendar year, or not calendar, for this academic year for athletics for Carolina. So I love that we're at least going to get one more weekend of celebrating this season. Now, just a couple other takeaways from this game. That silly home and visitor rule came into effect again on Monday, where the Heels weren't the home team, even though they were at home, so they couldn't walk it off. But Dalton Pence, he don't play around, and Carolina still got it done. We'll talk about all that and more coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about LinkedIn, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs, which has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. And it's not just some job board at LinkedIn. They help you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. Even people that aren't actively searching for a new job, but they might just be open to that perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't even visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Who knows that small businesses are wearing a ton of hats and just might not have the time or resources to hire. So they're here to help you out. For example, they recently launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, helping make this process just easier and quicker for you. So if you want to get in on that, post your job for free right now at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Again, linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, a couple other takeaways from specifically the win over LSU on Monday night, but also the whole regional. Gavin Gallaher appropriately was the MOP, most outstanding player of this regional. Obviously, his heroics on Friday night, he's hit well. But then on Monday night, had another big game. And due respect, by the way, to D'Onofrio, who had a great series at the plate as well. But Gallaher, just too many big moments for him. On Monday night specifically, actually, I say on Monday night, on both Sunday and Monday, he owned Tommy White. Tommy White was like crushing the ball to the hot corner, and Gallaher's just out here like picking them. The chief one, though, was a play he made in the bottom of the fifth on Monday. Almost ran into the ump. Tommy White hits this ball down the line, ground ball. Gallaher gets over to it, pegs it across the diamond. And by the way, great play by Parks Hubert as well to preemptively get on the backside of the bag into foul territory to play the hop and still beat White running down the line. On Monday, also at the plate, his leadoff double to start the ninth, again, against Gage Jump, their number one, and then ultimately scored the tying run when he beautifully, as we talked about earlier, read Wilkerson's single. So what a great weekend for Gavin Gallaher. Man, just really, really nice job. I want to come back to, we didn't really talk about this, but the fact that North Carolina, the number 4 national seed, got saddled with LSU in their bracket while all these other top seeds just didn't even have a team remotely that good is really frustrating from the committee. Now, on the back end of it, where we are now, I love it because Carolina sent them home. Beat the national champ. I mean, went out and beat them. It was tough. They weren't given. I know there was that error in the top of the 10th that got Johnny Castagnazzi to second base. But outside of that, man, LSU was rolling. And North Carolina had to go out and win it. And win they did. So committee did Carolina no favors. But karma kind of comes around and you got a little bit of an hopefully easier super regional. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to give a ton of credit to the Carolina pitching staff for the job they did on Monday. Honestly, both pitching staffs. LSU's, after that first couple that just weren't finding it, when they settled in with Helmers, man, he did a number on the Tar Heels throughout this game. They couldn't handle him. And usually because of his kind of delivery, a little, 3/4 thing, righty struggle against him, but his righty lefty splits. Lefties do well, and they just couldn't. And so really good stuff there. But Jason DeCaro gets the ball, short rest. I even was typing it down in the first inning. I was like, this first inning is going way too long for him to go 4 or 5, but definitely even 3. And so really good of him to get out of the second inning, to allow Matthias to come in the bottom of the third. And I tell you what, he gave up a solo home run with 2 outs in the third. But other than that, held LSU at bay, shut him down long enough to where the bats eventually got going in the 9th inning. Had a perfect 4th, a perfect 5th, a perfect 6th, got the first out of the 7th, gave way to Dalton Pence, who comes in, has a perfect end of the 7th. In the 8th, sets down the first 2, and then intentionally walks Jones And then you get an E6 on Wilkerson, but a pop fly to right to end it. And then he comes back out for the bottom of the 9th. Boom. Comes out back for the bottom of the 10th. Boom. And just great job by the bullpen to come in and do the job. Now they got to go rest up and get ready because what's coming ahead in the Super Regional, they're going to be called upon again and into the World Series should Carolina be so fortunate as to advance that far. Now, I want to come back. I talked about it on Monday, but this silly rule about not being the home team when you're hosting the series. I hate to beat a dead horse here, but a game that goes into extras where you're playing at home and you're not the home team and you can't walk it off. For example, Madera's single that scored Vanderbrake could have been a walk-off single. How electric would that have been? But instead, you got to go do it on defense. I mean, the NCAA, you've just bungled this. Because here we went again. The Diamond Heels were the visitors for the second straight day against the same opponent they faced the day before when they were the visitors in a regional that they were hosting the Tar Heels at home as the number 4 national seed. Great work, NCAA. So North Carolina, your reward, yeah, you get the host. But in comes this incredibly hot LSU team, and they're the home team for 2 of the 3 games you play against each other. Might as well have been a super regional. I can't with that. We got to get that fixed. One of the issues for North Carolina in this series was they really struggled on Sunday and Monday to get the hit. Like runners in scoring position, Sunday night, they were 2 for 10. Monday night, they were 3 for 13. That's a combined 5 of 23 across Sunday and Monday against LSU. It's a 217 batting average. And left, obviously, then you would imagine this, but left a ton of dudes on base. 12 on base on Sunday night, 11 on base again Monday. And that's a combined 23 left on base Sunday and Monday. Just got to get that fixed ahead of the Super Regional this weekend. 2 other things quickly, and then we'll move on to looking ahead to the Super Regional. If you haven't caught what Coach Forbes has done with his lineup construction, it is a thing of absolute beauty. And it makes it so hard on the opposition to get a whole bunch of lefty on lefty or righty on righty matches because it's literally flip-flopped the entire way through the order. Starting with Vance Honeycutt, you go righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, switch hitter with Wilkerson. So you end it and you think you're going to go, the 9th hitter's a righty, but you go back to a righty at the top of the order too. So that's where it breaks. No, Colby Wilkerson at the end of the lineup's like, hey, whatever matchup I want, I can take. And then we move along to Van. I mean, it's just a thing of beauty. So we'll talk more about that ahead of the Super Regional this weekend. Obviously, there's not the 3 batter minimum for a pitcher like there is in MLB, but still, it makes it very difficult on opposing coaches to decide what they want to do with their bullpen. Last word in this segment. I am so happy for Johnny Castagnazzi and Mr. Vanderbrake. These dudes have sacrificed for the good of the team this year. You know, they'd been starters, they've been major contributors, and just aren't this year. Johnny, who was on our show just a couple weeks ago, man, what an absolute guy. But I love that they both got to come in the late part of this game and be part of it in big ways. Castagnazzi had a great catch in foul territory up against that brick wall, sacrificing his body. Had that hit. I mean, frankly, hit the ball. It was an error that LSU should have caught in the top of the 10th. But look, just put the ball in play and good things happen. You know, just don't strike out. Just put the ball in play. And good things did happen. He hustled out of the box. You love to see that. And then Vanderbrake scores that run running for Castagnazzi. And so really happy for those guys to get to have a legit specific role in this thing. Man, Carolina's moving on to the Super Regionals. We'll talk about that and get you ready for it a little bit in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, it's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, player props, money lines, and more. Hey, how about that Super Regional coming up this weekend in Chapel Hill? Tar Heels minus 250, West Virginia plus 182. Carolina, by the way, for World Series odds right now is tied for the third shortest odds. Tennessee plus 280, Texas A&M plus 360, and then Carolina and Kentucky tied at plus 800. So if you want to get in on that action, visit FanDuel.com/lockedoncollege and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, so I know that not everyone out there follows along with college baseball all the time or knows kind of the format of the postseason. So a lot of people asked me on Monday, hey, if Carolina wins, what's next? Or after the win, people said, hey, what's next? What happens now? Well, it's called the Super Regional. Basically, this is college baseball's version of the Sweet 16. You have the 16 winners of the regionals that we had this weekend coming together. And each of the regionals were paired with another one. So Tennessee was the 1 overall seed. They were paired with East Carolina, who was the 16 national seed. Those two regions were combined, and that's how that goes. So North Carolina, as the 4 seed, was paired with the 13 national seed, which was Arizona in the Tucson bracket. So coming out of that region, I'll say a little bit about it here, was West Virginia. West Virginia was the 3 seed in this bracket. You had Arizona #1, Dallas Baptist #2. That was the team I feared the most coming out of this, so I'm very glad they're not. West Virginia 3, and then Grand Canyon 4. And so kind of by virtue of how stuff played out, Grand Canyon beat Arizona on Friday night, and then West Virginia beat Dallas Baptist. So you've got the 1 and the 2 seed playing in an elimination game on Saturday. And so that was great. Dallas Baptist won that 7-0. West Virginia beat Grand Canyon in the winners bracket game 5-0. But then Grand Canyon beat Dallas Baptist. So all West Virginia had to do was beat Grand Canyon again to go on to the Super Regional. So not exactly North Carolina's, gauntlet of a path that they had to face with LSU 3 times for West Virginia. But make no mistake, this is a good baseball team coming in to Chapel Hill. We'll get more ready for them later in the week. And you can't knock them because all you can do is beat who's in front of you. And they did that. And so there you go. More on West Virginia, though, later in the week. So here's what we know right now about the Super Regional. It will be this weekend as of the time of this recording. And I stayed up late on Monday night. Like it's already Tuesday, even my time in Central Time as I record this. Right now, no word about days or times of the game. So we'll keep our eyes out for that. I'll let you know when we know. Super Regional round is best 2 out of 3. So once again, it's double elimination, just like the regional round. All 3, if necessary, games will be at the Bosh. But you ready to scream and yell and howl? And here we go again, because it's the same kind of situation. For game 1, the host, North Carolina, is home team. For game 2, the host is the visiting team, where West Virginia will be the home team. In game 3, you would think Carolina would get the benefit of being the home team for game 3 as the host. Nope. Coin flip again. What are we doing here, NCAA? I mean, think about a 7-game series in any professional sport. If it goes 7, the better seeded team is going to have 4 of those 7 games. Or how about in Major League Baseball wild card? In the wild card round, it's the best 2 out of 3. The better seeded team is the host for all 3 games, and they're the home team for all 3 games. So what are we doing? It infuriates me. So anyway, there you go. North Carolina, at least we'll get to host the first game or be home team for the first game. For Carolina, this is their 4th Super in the last 6 tournaments. That's great stuff. You love to see it. In terms of pitching rotation, I'm really interested to see because, traditionally this season in a weekend series, at least after Jake Knapp's injury preseason, and then after Folger Boaz's injury, and after things have ironed out, you get DeCaro going on Friday, Shea Sprague on Saturday, and Aiden Houck on Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever it is. The question for me heading into this weekend is, can Jason DeCaro go on Friday? He threw 65 pitches this past Friday, threw 40 pitches on Monday against LSU, and, typically he would be Thursday or Friday to the next Thursday or Friday. In this instance, it'll just be 3 days of rest coming off of just 2 days of rest. Because again, Friday, rest days on Saturday, Sunday, pitched again on Monday. Pitched Monday, rest days on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then again on Friday. So I'm really curious to see how his arm responds and what Coach Forbes decides to do for this series. because you could go, if need be, Sprague in game 1, Houck game 2, and save DeCaro for, if necessary, game 3. If DeCaro's ready to go for maybe Saturday, you start Sprague, or in game 2, you start Sprague game 1, DeCaro game 2. We'll see what happens with it, but it's hard to know right now how his arm's going to respond to this. He's a young kid, remember, just turned 18 like during the season, and so you just never know with the Mountaineers coming to town. In the super regional matchups, I mean, it's wild. Of the 8 national seeds that would host, 7 of the 8 won their regionals. The only one that didn't was Arkansas, who ultimately Kansas State won the Fayetteville regional. But Tennessee, Kentucky, A&M, Carolina as the top 4 seeds all won. Clemson, Georgia, Florida State at 6, 7, 8 all won. And then on the other side, though, of the super regionals, only Oregon State 15, Virginia 12, and NC State 10 were the 9 through 16 national seeds to actually win. So you had 7 of the 8 winning their region on the top 8 side. You only had 3 of 8 winning their region on the 9 through 16 side. So there you go. Advancing overall, you've got 10 of the 1 seeds from the regions, 5 3 seeds, 1 4 seed, but none of the 2 seeds advanced. Isn't that a weird kind of just thing that happened? So anyway, lots more to come. Obviously, as I said, we'll let you know as we more about game time and days and all that, which I'm guessing by Wednesday's show we'll know, and we can set you up with that. But much more to come on the super regional throughout the week. We'll get back to basketball stuff off the top of the shows each day after this, but just at least wanted to make this day a big celebration of baseball and what the Diamond Heels are doing. If you're not subscribed to the show on audio and video, we'd love to have you. It's easy to do. Check it out on your favorite audio or video podcast platform. If you're not part of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord community, the link is in the show notes. It's free to join. Come for the Tar Heels, stay for the community, man. The baseball chat went off on Monday. You cannot even begin to scroll through it because there's so many messages. It was awesome. And that's going to be happening again this weekend. All right, y'all, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.